So this is my walk. I'm just out here trying to find some peace, meditating on the Word and connecting to the Spirit, and just looking at plants. I have no idea what this is, but it's got these pretty flowers on it and they have a nice scent. Now if you're doing wildcrafting and looking for herbs and edible plants, part of it is going out and finding, you know, the plants and the herbs that you want, that you can use, but another part is just really being out there looking at the plant. It's not, you don't have to know anything about any particular plants, just examine it, connect to it. Pay attention to the colors and the flowers, how it grows, and the seeds on the plant. And then you get this internal wisdom about the plants. And this is, I imagine this is what Adam was doing. I don't think he was just going out and pointing at things and saying, oh, this is name that and this is name this. He was most likely examining them, looking at them, having an idea of why he would name it that. And possibly even got into whether the plant was useful in any particular way or not. You know, Adam was at peace in the garden, and that's how it was intended, to be at peace and to be immortal within the Garden of Eden. Genesis 1:29. And Yahweh said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for meat. Now here I'm walking along this field, you know, just paying attention, and I come across this. This is the plantain. Very high in nutrition in the leaves. You can eat the leaves, saute the leaves. And you know, when you're out looking for herbs, you want to be mindful of, here we have some chives. I think it's a chive, actually. I know it's a wild onion of sorts. You know, pull it and give it a smell, and it's got a strong onion scent to it. But you want to be mindful of how much is around. When you find that herb or plant you want, be mindful of how much is actually grown in that area, so you know how much to take. You don't want to go to an area and wipe it all out, because then when you come back you won't find any. So you take, you know, just enough. An herbalist, you would say, you know, probably a third of what you find in any stand. That right there is a thistle. That's not necessarily the edible thistle. It's got like the white color to the leaves, and that white that hairy like look to it. But there are edible thistles. Here is a bean of some sort. It's a little guy, but later on I'll show you a larger one in the video. These grow like crazy out here in Oklahoma, all over the place. So when you get out into the field, you examine the plants, and you get a strong sense of what you can and cannot use, what you can eat and what you cannot eat, by its color, by its texture. Here we have a yellow dog. Yellow duck is got almost like a citrus-like taste to it. You could saute it, chop it up, add it to salads, eat it fresh. And then here we got some juniper berries. The fruit could be a little bitter. Sometimes it's pretty sweet, and sometimes just a combination of bitter and sweet. A little on the dry side. You can dry it up. You use it as a pepper or a spice. And here we have cattail. Cattail usually is grown on the water marshes. To pull it out, you separate the two outer leaves and grab it from that center stalk and just slide it right out. And then here inside you have this edible, crunchy portion. And Lord willing, I'll do a video on this, share a video on this later on. There's that edible portion there. This is a day of fasting for me, so I didn't want to eat it, but I just wanted to squish it up to show you how soft it was, how tender it was. Now here we have these beans again. This is a much thicker bean. I did a part of the video where I actually opened it up to show you the beans inside, but somehow that got cut off. I just wanted to say, although I advise getting out in the nature, connecting with the plants, finding, the medicine and the wild edible herbs, I'm not suggesting go willy-nilly and eat any and everything that you think is edible. To the contrary, I suggest that you do as much research as possible. Find the herb books, take pictures of herbs, try to find similar herbs online. You can ask people. There's plenty of resources you can go to online to identify herbs. But really, get those herb books. If there's herbal classes in your area, take those, because there's a lot of plants out there that you can use for food and medicine, but there's also some that will make you gravely ill, sick, and even kill you. So be careful with just willy-nilly going out and trying every little thing. It's more of an experience thing to be able to look at a plant and identify it as something that's potentially edible. And even then, you don't just pick it up and eat it. Maybe you'll sample a small taste of it, get an idea of how it feels on the palate, and really let the Spirit lead you in that with caution and discretion. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into some scriptures, get a lesson, and be out. There's this term called food is medicine. And basically what it's saying is that medicine isn't as necessary when you're treating your food as your medicine. That means eating the right foods, eating healthy foods, clean foods, to the best of our ability. We know that this place is polluted, and it's really difficult to get those clean foods. I wouldn't say really difficult. It can be a challenge, because what we're presented with is some of the worst foods. And even then, when you buy the cleanest and healthiest foods, there's still pollution. There's pollution in the air and the water that they grow this stuff with. So it's really hard to avoid. But when you can do our best to try to get the cleanest and the best foods into our diet. That being said, I'm going to jump into the scripture here, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 38, and we're just going to start at 38:1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him. For Ha'adawan hath created him. So the Lord has created the physician to help heal us. For of the Most High cometh healing. and he shall receive honor of the king. So it's not necessarily what the physician does, it's of the Lord through the physician that comes that healing. The skilled the physician shall lift up his head, and in the sight of great men he shall be in an admiration. Ha'adawan hath created medicines out of the earth. And these are the herbs and the food and all these things that the Lord has created to heal us. He didn't create laboratories and synthetic chemicals and all these different pills for healing us. That's not of us. That is of Esau the devil, who's created these things. So I'm going to read that again. The Lord, Ha'adawan hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. So if you are wise, you will use these medicines. You will use these herbs. So I'm going to leave it at that. Basically, stick to these herbs. Go out, and we all can't go into the field and find our wild herbs. And I'm not suggesting that we do so. I can't even do that. Most of my herbs that I use, I actually have to go to a local health food store or order online. But it's still the wisest will use these herbs for healing. So I'm going to leave it at that. I pray that this was edifying to the elect, and shalom. We'll jump to 6 here. And he hath given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works. So these physicians and any man of skill, this is a gift of the Lord, and to show his marvelous works. So that's why we give praises to him. We don't fill up ourselves with pride and saying, "Oh, I did this," or "This person, he did that." Every gift of men is of the Lord. Which saith does he heal men, and taketh away pain. So it is these physicians, the Most High heals us and takes away our pain. It's his marvelous work. Of such doth the apothecary make a confection, and of his works there is no end, and from him is peace all over the earth. My son, in thy sickness be not negligent. So don't abhor the herbs and the physicians and the medicine given to us when we are sick. But pray unto Ha'adawan, and he will make thee whole. Also, don't rely strictly on these medicines and these physicians. Pray. That's the best thing we can do, is pray. It's when we are down and low, when we are locked up, when we can't find the medicine, when our hands are bound and our feet are bound, and all we have is our ability to pray. That's the only thing we need, is prayer. Leave off of sin, and order thine hands aright, and cleanse thy heart from all wickedness. Give a sweet savor and a memorial of fine flour, and make a fat offering as not being. Then give place to the physician, for Ha'adawan hath created him. Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him. There is a time when in their hands there is good success. So value the physician. Value that healing medicine. Value the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Almighty has given these men of skill, these physicians. And even the plants, they are of a wisdom. The plants have been given wisdom by the Lord to be able to heal us. That's their what would you call it? The architecture that the Lord has put into these plants to be able to heal us. That's the marvelous work. For they shall also pray unto the one, that he would prosper that which they give for ease and remedy to prolong life. So these medicines, these physicians, the herbs, they were given to help our dis-ease and prolong our life. He that sinneth before his Maker, let him fall into the hands of the physician for healing. So I'm going to leave it at that. I pray this was edifying. Again, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Dash, and Shalom.